Hi Leute und willkommen zurück von The Outer Worlds. So, wir suchen immer noch den Phineas. Haben inzwischen den Anführer der der ganzen Idioten hier weggemacht. Nix.
Been practicing this. I'll fix you right up. Like true professionals.
So.
I don't see what the fuss is about a blasted lab. Watch a pro at work. Down they go. Good one.
Komm.
Something stronger.
Stronger geht nicht mehr. Pan. Der hatte doch gerade noch... Ich verstehe das nicht, wo das immer passiert, dass das Inventar weg... So. Oh, da lag ein Arm. Und das mag ich ins Spiel halt auch nicht, wenn der Knopf zum Interagieren und zum Nachladen auf derselbe ist. Dass wenn du was aufhebst, plötzlich nachgeladen wird. Okay. Es war so cool, dass Junleis Leute uns unten beim Eingang geholfen haben und die MSI-Leute vom anderen Planeten uns hier oben in den obersten Stockwerken geholfen haben. Richtig nice. Da. Jetzt ist das... Okay, und hiermit kommen wir jetzt zu ihm hin.
Hope you're right about this, Captain.
Jetzt, hallo? Ich bin der Captain. Wenn ich sage, ist okay, ist okay. Bringt uns... Müssten jetzt Kopftreffer als Schwachstelle mit Langwaffen und Nachladegeschwindigkeit für schwere Waffen. Vielleicht. Muss gucken. Halt, stopp. Die Schockkanone hätte ich da gerne. Das... Es ist halt schon cool. So. Nur falls irgendwelche Roboter...
Captain, you have an uncanny talent for complicating my life. You've been working with Dr. Wells from the beginning. When we moved to arrest him, he was prepared. I lost good soldiers in the attempt. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. You've introduced uncertainty, and there is nothing I despise more than uncertainty. I'm afraid I can't do that. To your credit, Captain, you are one of the colony's finest specialists. Your technical abilities are beyond reproach. For all your talents, you are the enemy of Halcyon, and therefore you are my enemy. You make a nuanced and compelling argument. Here's my rebuttal. No. Dr. Wells is being held in my custody. His cooperation will prove invaluable, even if I have to beat it out of him. All that's left to do is put down this riot, arrest you, and then get on with the bloody business of saving this colony. I'm aware of your propensity for violence. Halcyon is a bloodier place because of you. I take no pleasure in this, you know. I simply have no other option. Leaving you alive is too great a risk. Goodbye, Captain. If you insist. This prison is equipped with an automechanical warden. I've had it programmed to eliminate you on sight and rinse your remains down a drain. And don't worry. I will inform Dr. Wells that you died heroically, or something.
Tag. Ach, jetzt ist... Ich bin zu fett.
Nice and easy.
Okay, jetzt wird's lustig. Wir haben Bosskampf. Ich habe das schon ein paar Mal gemacht. Ich habe schon ein paar Mal... So, du mit deinem Schockschaden. Jetzt kannst du draufballern. Nochmal. Komm. Also ich will das möglichst schnell in einem Run fertig bekommen. Ja, ich bin fett. Fuck. Du musst ihn wieder umhauen. Sonst wird das nichts. Heilung. Komm.
My kind of action. Just like that. Captain bleeding.
Komm mach. Oh nein. Fuck.
On your right, Captain.
Das wird natürlich versaut. Ich war nicht schnell genug. Nein. Hab ich jetzt Rüstung mehr. Komm. Gibt es irgendeinen Ort in diesem Raum, der keine Drogen hat? Okay. Ah. Als wenn die jedes Mal gewusst haben, aus welcher Richtung ich komme.
I'm going. Be right there.
Sehr schön. Also man kann auch hier so explodierende Kanister stehen hier überall rum. Aber da die Drohnen ranzukriegen, sehr schwer. Den dicken Roboter sollte natürlich leichter sein, den da ranzukriegen, aber mit dieser Phineas-Waffe ging das eigentlich. Den Elektroschock-Ding, was ich eigentlich... Natürlich geil, wenn hier jetzt irgendwo haufenweise schwere Munition rumliegen würde. Aber ich glaube, den Gefallen tut das Spiel mir nicht.
Why won't you just die?
I got another fight in me.
So einfach. Hatte große Klappe in der Cutscene.
Get me out of here!
79.000.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind.
Danke.
And I can't begin to thank you enough.
In Ordnung. Was du Witze, der Vorstand hatte nie eine Chance gegen mich.
Ah, all in a day's work for you, huh?
So sieht's
You've
aus.
broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. but there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
They haven't exactly been hands-on around here anyway. So there's one less rubber stamp to worry about.
Earth is humanity's home planet, Miss Fenhill. The psychological effects of losing our original home will be devastating.
You mean we're all alone out here? Really alone?
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is no longer an option. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
RIP.
Yes, you're right. The road is long, and we haven't a moment to waste. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds, and then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us? I doubt I could change your mind even if I wanted to. You've already done more than I could ask of you. When I revived you, I thought we were going to save this colony all by ourselves. But I was wrong. We can't save Halcyon on our own. We're all going to have to pull together, somehow. We are not a colony anymore. Our last connection to Earth has been severed. I don't know if we'll survive, but we're going to have to try our best.
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment she landed in Emerald Vale, her actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Sanjar's civil liberties and worker-centric policies were slow to catch on with the other corporations. But as Halcyon began its long, arduous journey toward recovery, many of Terra 2's smaller townships started adopting MSI's alternative corporate structure, and eventually became entirely self-sufficient. In the coming years, many of these townships managed to eke by, where otherwise they might have starved. The collapse of Edgewater left its workers bereft of any purpose in life. Most of them made their way to Adelaide McDevitt's camp, hoping to ingratiate themselves into her favor. Adelaide accepted only a few to her community. The rest were turned away and likely died of starvation. Nevertheless, Adelaide's camp grew into a well-established town. Adelaide McDevitt refused to cooperate with the ongoing effort to save Halcyon from collapse. A sympathetic deserter stole a copy of her research and delivered it to the Hope's scientists. It is unclear how useful Adelaide's research was. An optimistic estimate suggests her work may have bought Halcyon another few years of survival. Adelaide would never know. She died that winter. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Ellie savored her adventures on the Unreliable. Once they were done, she returned to life as usual, running missions of dubious legality, shunning respectable work, and living life to the fullest. She meant to reach out to her one-time captain, but she was always bad at keeping in touch. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. As hard as she tried to drink them away, Nyoka's memories eventually overcame her. Traveling with the crew served as a constant reminder of the family she'd lost, and so she eventually returned to Monarch to get back to what she found most comfortable: the deep end of a bottle and the far end of a trail. Few have seen her since, but travelers often swear they hear her and her machine gun in the night, screaming swears and spitting bullets. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. Though he was always haunted by the failures of his past, he was determined to make things right by building toward the future. The revival project was hard and painful work, but in the end, despite limited resources, over half the Hope's colonists were successfully revived. Even after Wells passed away, the Hope scientists and engineers worked night and day to pull Halcyon from the brink of collapse. Their efforts continue to this day, which may be reason enough for optimism. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Life will never be the same in Halcyon. It is widely agreed that the colony has a chance of stabilizing within a generation, owing to the hard work and determination of the surviving colonists. Recovery is a distant goal, and the path is long and uncertain. But the people of Halcyon carry on, determined as ever. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus, and left Dr. Wells to his own devices. The affairs of the colony never distracted you from living out your own dreams, to captain a ship, to sail the ether, and to earn a reputation as the greatest spacer Halcyon ever had. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Oh ja, richtig gute Story. Sehr schönes Spiel. Nices Gameplay, nice Grafik. Sounds kann man vielleicht noch ein bisschen dran arbeiten, aber rundum eigentlich sehr gut. Ich habe es jetzt in 2,5 Tagen durchgespielt. Ich weiß, jetzt hat ein Begleiter gefehlt. Aber da habe ich wirklich komplett keine Ahnung, wo der ist. Die anderen Planeten, die noch gezeigt wurden, keine Ahnung, ob man dort irgendwie anders hingekommen wäre mit irgendeiner Nebenquest oder sowas. Werde ich mir wahrscheinlich nochmal so angucken in einem Guide, ob das irgendwo drin steht. Wird aber kein Video mehr zu kommen. Ansonsten schauen wir mal, was jetzt passiert. Ob es jetzt irgendwie so, du kannst jetzt noch mal rumfliegen überall hin oder... Ah, guck mal, wir sind jetzt hier wieder an der Stelle, wo wir ihn freilassen. Hi. Okay, dann kann man von hier praktisch noch ein bisschen weiter die Welt erkunden, bevor man wieder hier rangeht und dann wieder das Ende macht. Gibt also kein New Game nochmal durchspielen mit allen Rüstungen und Waffen, die man schon hat oder sowas. Ist okay. Muss man jetzt nicht unbedingt haben. Ja. Auf jeden Fall. Wer auf Sci-Fi-RPGs steht, sollte das natürlich austesten. Gibt es im Epic Store bei Xbox und PlayStation. Steam, glaube ich, gibt es das nächstes Jahr. Ich glaube, sollte für ein halbes Jahr Epic exklusiv sein. Und danach wird es auch bei Steam geben. Ja. Und das war es dann eigentlich. Was mich interessiert, gibt es hier irgendwie eine Option, dass man jetzt irgendwas noch freischalten kann oder so? Scheint nicht zu sein. Das heißt, es gibt wirklich kein Herausforderungsmodus zum Beispiel oder irgendwie sowas. Oder so ein Unendlichkeitskampfmodus, wo man nochmal besseres Equip sich holen kann oder irgendwie. Ne, scheint es nicht zu geben. Jo, dann sind wir wirklich durch. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Probiert es selber mal aus. Ich glaube, es gibt's für 35 €, hatte ich, glaube ich, gesehen. Natürlich, wenn ihr das Video später guckt, nicht mehr zum aktuellen Datum, könnte es natürlich schon billiger sein oder in irgendeinem Sale. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Ciao, Leute.